Now let's consider to make this equation, and as we did for the circle equation before, let me just type in and what happens after that. F of x equals a, and in GeoGebra, be careful, you cannot type ax squared directly, and see this is gray, right? Which means if you just typed in like that without any space whatsoever, GeoGebra will understand AX as a one label, the one name of the one object, right? So if you want to separate them, like A is this A, right? Separate, and X is X, right? Then at least you have to put space. Then you understand, oh, A means that A, right? Is blue, and X is just typical variable name. Okay? So like that. And next one, same as before, like b times x, it's like that. Or you can put this b star x, either way, and plus c. So hit enter. So this one is looks like okay, but we got exact same mistakes, right? It still have the 0x as a notation, which we don't like it. Okay. So, but let's just check. Okay, so in the text, we just put the object as a dynamic, then we need to use the name of it. So in this notation, the name of this function is f. So you have to click this f, then it shows that one okay. Okay. So right now it shows that one, which we don't like. Okay. So we don't like it. Then this from what I'm saying right now is the kind of most the simplest way to do it, but it's a little bit tricky way to do it. So listen carefully. So instead of that, let me just delete the whole thing. Starting typing y equals a times x squared plus b times x plus c. Hit enter. Then can you see the difference between typing this way or typing y equals this? When I typed in this way, GeoGebra accepts that one as a function, so under the category of function, right? But when I typing y equals that expression, the GeoGebra accepts it as a conic section, which means like this circle equation, right? X, Y, no one knows which one is in the independent variable and dependent variable, right? They just treat X and Y as a same, okay? Same variables like this. So if you type y equals some expression for x, then GeoGebra will accept them like x, y is just same style variable. Okay? So it accepts as a conic section. Okay? So it gives the name of it automatically, right? Okay, so E. So in that way, when you click this text and choose the name of that object, which is E, then you can get that expression as it is, right? Y equals negative 2x squared plus 2. Okay, so it's nice because if you have 0 for that, it doesn't show that 0 there. And if a is 0, then even it only shows the constant term, right? And if b is not that, then like this. So in this way, we got the exact kind of forms of the expression for that function. Okay? The only tiny little kind of downside of that is some cases we don't want to use y, but we want to use f of x here, right? So that's the only kind of missing part, but the others are really perfectly nice. So that's why I'm suggesting in doing this way, right? For that kind of general case. So how can you get this f of x? Now this is just a tricky one, so you might find some better way to do it later, but this is my suggestion. If you really want to put f of x instead of y there, and there's no way you can delete this y or hide this y, because this conic section expression include y for the entire expression, right? So you cannot remove or hide this portion. Instead, we make extra text, which is f of x that we want to show. Okay, so click OK, and we want to place this f of x over there. So instead of y equals, it looks like f of x equals, right? Now, but you can see some y behind it, right? So we want to hide that one, and the one way you can do that, is select the properties of that text and go to color. There are two choices, the foreground and background colors. So right now, the foreground, the text color itself is black, and the background is not decided yet. So just click white. Be careful, this means no selected for the background. This one is white one, so we click white or the background color, whatever you have, okay, in your file. But in most cases, I just use white. So choose that white for background color. Then when you place them over there, can you see that? Is actually some white, this text is on this white kind of canvas, right? So when you place that above anything, it's actually hiding anything behind it, right? So you can place it. Then now it looks like f of x equals that. Okay? So now whenever you change something, it's okay, right? Always looks good that way. Now, be careful. This is tiny little kind of cosmetic stuff. By accidentally, if your students kind of use their mouse wheel and dragging it, then you know it's zooming it and zooming it out, right? So when you do that, can you see this? One thing is, we don't want to changing the position and the font size of in text, right? Most cases, right? And another thing is, if they do it really anyway, then can you see that? The y appears because it's kind of stretched out, right? So the distance between this f of x and the entire expression behind it has more gaps, right? And we can see the y there, right? So we don't want to do this way. So to avoid those kind of cases is like, I really suggest to do this one for any text, right? Choose that, right click on the text, and one of the choice is the fixed object, right? So for any text, so this is my suggestion, actually right click and dragging to select all the text, and right click again, then click fix objects, which means you fix those text in there. And good thing about that one is when you're moving around, it's just always there, right? But still, kind of when you're zooming in, zooming out, still they are just moving right there, right? So to avoid that, the next step is still, you just select all the text and select this absolute position on screen together. Now, after that, when you just drag, zooming in, zooming out, actually your text looks like it's just fixed, okay, at that position. So no matter what the dimension of your window size is, it doesn't matter, right? You always have those text as it is, right? Then your students never imagine there is some hidden stuffs behind it, okay? So that's the kind of tricky way to present these general forms of quadratic functions. You can apply this one to other text, right, for any dynamic ones. But from my experience, this is kind of best way to handle these general forms. Now this standard form or the vertex form is crazy. Okay, that's the most difficult ones, and I'm going to talk about that one in the next video.